Yep. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Board of Selectmen's meeting of July 2nd at 7 PM. All stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is Lisa going to be the designated person to start us off?
Do I? I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Sure.
The person with that role should know they have it. Just saying.
Well, now I know.
Okay. Chairman is remote tonight, feeling a little under the weather, so he protected all of us, but he is participating in the meeting. First thing we have up is an exceptional employee recognition. Patrice, would you like to come up and speak on that? I believe it's one of your employees.
It is.
The microphone's over there. It's Les's fault.
No breathing.
William Brennan is one of our drivers, and I had received notification within like hours of each other. One of our ladies was going over to Dana-Farber for cancer treatment, and he thoughtfully stopped at the store and bought her some crackers and some water, thinking that she might be nauseous after her treatment. And not even a few hours later, one of my board members, Jennifer, who had been going back and forth for a treatment, had also provided a letter that she was scheduled just for a routine blood test. She was going to be there about an hour. She had some other issues, and she had told him that she had been fasting for this blood test. She ended up being there like all day. So when he picked her up at 3 o'clock, he stopped again and brought her a snack and, some water, and she thought that was the most thoughtful thing she had ever heard of, going really above and beyond in customer service and really just caring about somebody. So he is a stellar. He is really stellar, and the seniors absolutely love him. Every passenger raves about him. But for him to continually do these little things, I'm sure he does a lot more than we know of, and he's very humble. And he couldn't be here tonight because he works nights, so.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. Administrator?
Yeah, when we hire these folks that have extensive contact with the public, these little kindnesses, especially with our elders, go a long, long way. Because they come to the center because they may not have contact with anybody else. So when the face that greets them on the bus, it's a pleasant one. It just enhances the relationship between the town and its citizens. So I'm very happy that Mr. Brennan will be honored.
Particularly when they're going for medical.
Yeah, it's stressful
Have a
enough.
friendly face or comment.
That's great.
Any comments, Tim?
No, I think it's a fantastic service. I think people, we're doing great as a town when we can, see growth in certain sectors of our services. And Patrice and the team have clearly answered the call. It's one thing to get a bus; it's another thing to deliver, and with that human touch. So kudos to Patrice and everyone.
Thank you.
There'll be some acknowledgement annually for that.
Yeah, so we have an event we haven't scheduled yet. The committee hasn't scheduled for the employees in the late summer. We usually combine it with a training discussion at the same time. And at that time, Mr. Brennan will be able to attend in person, and we'll give him an award there. Okay.
Thank you, Patrice.
Thank you.
Anybody here on the Citizens Forum? Seeing as none, Les has searched the room intently and hasn't
There are
found
no
anything.
citizens other than
Yep.
us.
Need a motion to open the public hearing for a poll petition at 120-123 Gilboa Street.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. We'll most likely have to do a roll call vote on all these items where Tim is remote.
Aye. Roll. Smith, aye.
Davis, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. Okay, the So we have a poll petition number 309-23184, 120-120 Gilboa Street, to install one JO pole on Gilboa Street, move one JO pole on Gilboa Street, relocate two JO poles on Gilboa Street, relocating pole line back to the south side of Gilboa Street after they've been temporarily relocated for bridge construction. In addition, the petitioning for new pole 53-1 for bridge crossing. This is all related to the cubes at Gilboa. Does anybody have any questions on this? Seeing as none, I would,
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to interfere with the new paving and anything else down there that, but looking at this, I don't think it does. See, we
Doing
found
the poll petition.
all new pavement down there.
Should be online.
come on up, Bob. We have one question on the table for you. Selectmen.
Typical Continental flight, late.
Blame the pilot.
The microphone's over there.
Go ahead, Russ, ask him your question.
Good evening.
Hi, Bob. Just a question on this poll petition. Is it going to interfere with any of the new pavement that we've finally got down there?
No, it is behind the berm on both sides.
Excellent.
I'm looking for a motion. Look for a motion to approve the, oh, no, we have to close the public hearing first. A motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all in favor will need roll call. Might as well just do that.
Smith, aye?
Davis, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. All right, I'm looking for a motion to approve the poll petition number 309-23184-120.
Also moved.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all in favor, roll call, please.
Smith, aye?
Davis, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. You might as well hang out, Bob. Don't go home. We'll have something else for you, I'm sure.
Any good news?
No, but in the meantime, we still have Patrice on
Yeah.
item 6.
Yep. Patrice can come up and sit next to Bob.
Share a microphone.
So the next thing on our agenda is a review on the Council on Aging cook position. Patrice, could you explain that to us, please?
So, more than 4 years ago, we started cooking down there during COVID. And then since the last couple of years, since we've opened up, we've continued on because we were getting meals from Tri-Valley. And during COVID, we didn't get meals during Tri-Valley, and quite frankly, nobody likes the meals from Tri-Valley. That being said, they never even came back to approach us because they're so short-staffed. So, and those are meals that we're serving at the center. The Meals on Wheels program still goes out of Sutton, and the Meals on Wheels are still provided to the homebound residents in town. So we started cooking for a handful of people for bingo and for a movie day and so on and so forth. And then the senior center has grown just tremendously, and the bus has added on to that because a lot of seniors that couldn't come before can now come. And while they're there, they'd like to enjoy a $4 meal. Why not? So it's a challenge because we are so busy, and I have one 30-hour-week position, Jennifer, and I have a per diem to cook. I mean, I'm at grocery stores at 7 o'clock in the morning, sometimes at 5 o'clock at night. I'm trying to bargain, so I'm going to 4 or 5 or 6 grocery stores sometimes in a week or two, on top of the fact that we now have the commercial dishwasher, which is wonderful as part of our recycling initiative. But it only does so many dishes at a time, so when you're feeding 30 or 40 people lunch, not only are you spending hours food shopping, hours cooking, it's hours cleaning up, and it, takes quite a bit. It's taking a lot of administrative time at this point, to the point where I'm doing work at nights and weekends that is administrative because I don't have time when I'm there, and for Jennifer also. And if one of us is on vacation, which has happened the last 2 weeks, we have Bill. Bill always comes right in the kitchen and serves lunch every Tuesday. And if he's not out doing another run, But it's really challenging, very challenging to continue it. And I did meet with the senior center directors in the area. I hosted on June 5th, and they were like, "You're still cooking?" So I'm like, "Yeah." So I said, "How did you go about doing your program?" And I asked them different things, and they hired a cook, and the cook is in charge of the menu. And then, of course, they have, instead of going from grocery store to get a bargain like I am, they have a vendor that they use. And they have a card at Hannaford that they can use, and so on and so forth. So I did meet with the finance director, Jean, about this, and she was going to reach out to the other town accountants to see how they're actually doing this, because it's a suggested donation, right? So if somebody doesn't have $4, right now the Sunshine Club is kind of covering it. But once it becomes like a revolving account of some sort,
Yeah.
it could fall short, depending on, or you might have to charge more for a meal, which I'm telling you, these people cannot afford. You know what I mean? So it's a good way to get people in. The National Council on Aging, the Executive Office of Elder Affairs will tell you that a meal program is really important for a senior. It's for nutrition, it's for socialization, and if somebody maybe wants to come in and have a meal and like sit and watch a movie because they haven't been there before, then they come in and it's a welcoming place. So, and the seniors are very welcome, and the patrons are amazing. So it's really brought a lot of success, but with that, it's brought
Neat.
a lot of extra work. So I'd like to hang up the apron and just be a part of the food program,
Right.
not be in charge of it, and let Jennifer be able to do administrative stuff and not be doing dishes for 2 hours and so on and so forth. So I will tell you that I did pull a couple of statistics. In 2023, we prepared 1,190 meals at the center. That was what in-house meals. So far in the last 6 months, we've already done 770. So that's how successful this program has become. And how much the seniors have really come to depend on it. And I just don't want to take it away, so I'll still kill myself to do it, but I'm just hoping that we can maybe get somebody in that fits the position a little bit better.
Is this something that has to go to fall town meeting?
Yeah, yes, I think.
Yeah, it will, because we're adding a position to the classification plan. So it does have to go, as you know, under the personnel policies, the town administrator acting as a personnel director can create a position for up to 6 months.
Oh, okay.
Which is my intent. However, I have always brought job descriptions and position postings to the select board for approval because I consider that to be a policy decision.
How many days a week is this? 5 days?
No, so it's, what we do is every Tuesday, because that's our bingo crowd, so we serve lunch every Tuesday, and usually on Thursdays, because we have a movie day, or we have a craft day, or we have an event. Those are the only 2 days that we can actually sustain the main room, because otherwise it's used. You've seen the food program going when you've stopped it, and it's quite hectic. So those are the only 2 days that we actually have the main room open. Otherwise, it's being used for exercise classes and everything else, because it's the only big space that we have. So it's 2 days a week.
And you're averaging how many people each time?
Bingo can be anywhere from 20 to 30 people.
They're
and
having the meal?
Yes, having the meal. And on Thursdays, depending on what we have for an event, we could have up to 50 people. 50 people I cap it off
How do you
at.
plan in advance to know how many meals to do?
So what we do is we have sign-up sheets. We
Okay.
advertise, everything in the newsletter goes out bi-monthly, right? So everybody knows a month or two in advance. And we have sign-up sheets, and people call in. And we've gotten so good at being able to judge food
How many, yeah.
down to the last crumb down there. So we could do that. Yeah. And I'd like to mention that Selectman Stevens brought us a really nice commercial freezer, and was challenged by Jennifer to fill it with ice cream, and he did. So they enjoyed that today at bingo.
Do they have maple walnut?
Yeah, I was going to say, the only problem with that is Al and I weren't notified that there was ice cream down there.
Yeah.
Well, didn't want to, you guys don't qualify for.
Whoa.
They're not at the age to attend.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. You youngster.
I'm over the age. Super seniors aren't allowed.
Even if I'm short a few months, Al, I can borrow a few from you.
Get 2 ice cream.
That's a new one, super seniors.
Yeah, super senior. There you go.
Like super delegates.
Okay, so in all seriousness, Mr. Administrator, you looking for a motion from us to authorize you to create this position?
And a temporary rate of pay that we set in the advertisement, which should be in the packet.
Yep.
I'll move that motion that we appoint the requested position for a 6-month period of time.
Well, yep, I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all in favor, roll call.
Smith, aye.
Davis, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. Thanks, Patrice.
Gentlemen,
Now,
have a great-
just for the folks at home, Patrice, this is 10 to 15 hours a week, and what did you post for a rate?
I have not, because
haven't?
we had discussed the rate of pay. I did discuss it with the other senior center directors, and they were starting at $19.50 to $21 an hour, which is about average in this area for that kind of position. The responsibility, the certifications,
Okay,
and you want to get somebody qualified.
all right.
Well, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Have a great night.
Thank you, Patrice. Next thing on our agenda is an acceptance of the CIG donation. I asked the town administrator to explain that first, and then we'll have Mr. Menerick read a memo that he has forwarded to us.
Yeah, we're going to do one of those general things and detailed things. So I'll do the general, and Bob will handle some of the details.
Yeah.
Most folks know that CRG is the real estate developer behind the cubes at Gilboa, and the new owner, mostly, of the future development rights of Pine Sand and Gravel. So the, additional potential development there, which we expect will start permitting fairly soon. And in the early process around the cubes at Gilboa, the planning board had asked or sought out a donation from CRG just to support the community, which is traditional and typical of these relationships. And I interjected and said, I really would prefer that you not do that, because the select board is going to enter into a development agreement with the developer directly for a specific set of items that we have discussed. We also discussed the timing. We wanted that part of the development agreement to be implemented after a certificate of occupancy was earned, so that our inspectors were under no pressure because, quote unquote, we owed anybody anything for anything that was done. So that has all gone along quite well. The building doesn't have a CO yet. But that $50,000 that the planning board had asked to be donated was set aside by CRG in whatever their pro forma budget was for the project. As you can imagine, looking at the size and scope of this project, $50,000 is not a lot of money for CRG. It might be for me and you, but it's not for them. And an opportunity has arisen. I got a surprise email this week. The board is aware, and I've made my department heads aware, that the International City County Managers Association, the ICMA, which is a professional organization to which I belong, and from time to time I go to their conferences. They are typically a little bit more expensive and further away, so I've been to one in the 7 years I've been here. I went to Baltimore because I have relatives there. I was able to stay for less than the full fare. But they run videos that feature communities that are engaged in best practices and have adapted to changes in the world. And they run about 5 or 6 a year. So this is an international organization. They have a national conference, which is very well attended. There'll be thousands of people there in Pittsburgh this year in September. And the ICMA chose Douglas to be one of the 6 communities that will be featured at the national stage. So we got a call from them. They said, this is a good opportunity for you. We're only going to do a few of these. The way this works, though, is you, the town, you pay for this video because you're going to own it. And all we want is the royalty, the right to broadcast it royalty-free at our conferences and on the web TV channel that they run, which is not really a lot to ask. Pardon me. So it was $26,300, which is not in the budget, right? We don't have a promote the town budget. So this was an opportunity for Bob to call and ask after that 50 grand and say, is it there? And that was Lisa's idea. I want to give Lisa credit for thinking of that while we were all figuring out how we would do this. And it's a huge, to me, it's a huge recognition for the town and a huge opportunity. And it is in CRG's interest, right? Their development is going to be featured. There's skin in the game for them here, but it's not going to take up the full 50. The remainder they want to donate for the upkeep of Soldier Field, which, again, is a huge contribution to the historical asset of the town. So I'll let Bob take it from there, but
Okay, thank you, Matt. The Cubes at Gilboa will be submitting a $50,000 check, a donation, per se, to the town for the donated purpose, and it's a dual purpose. It will be covering the $26,300 cost of producing a short documentary video for the professional organization ICMA. The remaining $23,700 will be dedicated for the maintenance of the historical Soldier Field baseball field complex, and that includes dugouts, whatever is needed for maintenance down at the field. The only thing I ask is the Select Board, in conjunction with the Recreation Commission, is to reserve a spot on the center field wall. I guess there's a lot of sponsors on the center field wall. We could just reserve one spot for CRG because they are donating $23,700. Just get their name up on the board. They will let us know what they want for a name, either it's Cubes at Gilboa or CRG Acquisitions. And all I ask tonight is for a request for a motion whereby this board accepts the donative check, which is being processed as we speak.
And the video can run on our economic development page, obviously,
It
right?
could run anywhere on our website.
Yeah. So it'll
It
be a
is
good
ours to keep.
promotion thing, we assume, for the town, for other business to bring.
right, so they're going to shoot for a whole day. The video's only going to be 5 minutes.
Yeah,
We're going to own all of the B-roll.
okay.
So we're talking internally with Pat from Cable and Bob Sullivan about making sure that B-roll is something we can utilize to further the message of the town. So it's not just frequent, all the outtakes that we'll do, I'm sure, of our lines, but it's also to highlight the collaboration and the key members of the staff that helped this economic development effort get off the ground. The focus of the video is economic development, collaboration, and the provision of high-quality services. Those three themes will be throughout.
Sounds like great.
Everything that went into this project will be highlighted, like Matt said.
But we're not doing a fluff piece. We decided we're not going to get roped into doing one of these feel-good things. This was a serious project. A lot of effort went into this, and we want to tell people how this came about, and why we think it's a valuable success. Not just, we have a lot of trees in Douglas. It's going to be a lot more to it.
I mean, a lot of people, even the natural gas, took 3 years to get that to support this project.
No, well, it's probably one thing I'm not going to talk about, Bob, so will you stop?
You are sitting very close to him.
We're going to leave the controversial stuff out.
Tim, you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think it's a good opportunity for the town to tell our story. It's a collaborative thing, and it's a success story, and kudos to Bob and Matt and everyone involved who made it happen. Look forward to seeing it.
Yep.
Okay, so somebody can make that motion. I gave my letter to Bob.
I'll make a motion to accept the CRG donation to the town of Douglas.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all in favor, roll call, please.
Smith, aye.
Davis, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. Thanks, Bob.
Specific enough, Matt, for the,
It is. So the only thing I want to say on the record is please make sure that the donative purpose that comes with the check includes language that says the interest earned on this gift should be returned to the gift account for the use of the gift account. So we went through this with gifts given to the library in the past where the interest actually closed to the general fund. We don't want that. We want the interest to go into the account that it was set aside for.
In other words, the 23,000, because the 26,
The 26 will get spent, but the 23 will earn in some interest, so that interest needs to go back into the donative account.
Yep.
Right? For more apple pie and motherhood tonight. Great.
And we should thank Lisa for her brainstorm up an idea.
Which is wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Wicked.
Yes.
I think it's a great honor what Matt just
Yeah,
announced.
yeah, thanks. All right, the next thing up is to vote and sign the special election warrant. We're going to have a special election
Okay.
on Tuesday, the 13th of July, from 8 to 8. Only one question on the warrant. Shall the town of
Oh,
Douglas...
no, that's wrong. It's the 30th.
Oh,
Good catch.
yeah, I read it wrong. Sorry.
Right, well, it's.
Let me just back up a little. Let me
By
just
the way, you have
back,
an election in a week.
let me just back up a little bit.
It's a typo on the
No, it's
clerk's
not.
warrant.
Hey, we could
No,
have
it's
got 2
not.
votes out of it.
No?
It's the 30th.
Okay, so Tuesday, the 30th of July,
30th.
from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., to cast their vote on the following question. Shall the town of Douglas be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2.5, so-called, the amounts required to pay the town's allocable share of the bond issued for the Blackstone Valley Regional Valley Technical High School District to pay the cost of roof reconstruction, replacing rooftop heating and ventilation and air conditioning systems, and for the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto. I don't think I need to, that's the only question on that. I don't think I need to read the rest of it. Anybody have any questions on this? If not, we're looking for a motion to vote to sign this.
With the revised date, I'll have to talk to the clerk's office tomorrow.
No, the date is fine.
No, the date is right.
Yeah.
It does say 30th.
Yeah, I said it wrong,
It's correctly read.
but I correct,
What does that say?
30th. It almost-
Okay,
It almost looks
sorry.
like 13th.
Yeah.
well, that's what I did at the first time, that's why I got messed up, so.
Sorry about that. That's-
Yep, no,
I got this. It's probably our age group.
You know, it's that third martini at dinner.
Yeah.
Really?
Should have stopped it.
No, yeah.
It's all blurred,
I
right?
did pretty
That's an
good, now I
ambiguous-
have her questioning your own typing.
It's not mine. That's-
no.
So anyways, looking for a motion to sign the special election warrant.
I'll make a motion to sign the special election warrant for Tuesday, the 30th of July.
Second.
Motion's made second. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, roll call, please.
Smith, aye.
Davis, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. At least we're entertaining you tonight, Tim.
So, Mr. Chairman, another quick note for anybody watching, listening, because I was asked a question about this, that I want to make sure it's important to clarify. This special election would create the general authority under which the town would contribute to this borrowing. The details of that authority were voted by town meeting. So the article that was on the warrant authorizing this was very specific about a number of things, and that still binds everyone in the town. This doesn't supersede it. It is the enabling by the taxpayer at the ballot box of the authority given by town meeting, which was quite narrow. As it turns out, enough other communities have already approved this, where the impact of this passing is only one thing, whether or not the debt will be excluded from the levy or it becomes part of the operating budget. As you know, our recommendation, our strong hope is that it stays outside of the operating budget, and doesn't take up resources.
All right, so the next thing we have is authorize the town administrator to sign the revised Board of Health intermunicipal agreement for shared services.
So this, you already authorized me to sign this, and I did, and I came back with revisions. The revisions are not, to me, they are not material at all. They just want to make sure that our timing and some of the language in there reflects the fact that we won't have any lapse in service. That's not a major edit, but I still need your approval to sign.
Looking for a motion on that?
I'll make the motion to authorize Matt to sign the revised Board of Health IMA revision.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, roll call vote, please.
Smith, aye.
Davis, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. Next thing, we, two different things, and we're going to do it two different ways. And the first thing is we're going to just take a vote to create a subcommittee for the Stormwater Stakeholders Committee. It's a subcommittee.
We need a motion.
Motion to create a subcommittee.
I'll make a motion to create a subcommittee for the stormwater stakeholders.
Second?
Motion's made, seconded. Any further discussion?
Do we have any idea how many members are going to be on the subcommittee? Or what departments? Just the creation? Okay.
No.
Open-ended?
Well, I think you should let it roll for a couple of meetings. If you
Yeah.
know some people that you want to
Yeah.
appoint right away, you probably could.
Yeah.
There is no fixed amount that you have to have a subcommittee. The only rule that is very important to keep in mind under your general bylaws, even an advisory committee must all be Douglas residents. So the community development director and I may attend all these meetings and speak,
Yeah.
but we are not going to be members of any voting group that would make a recommendation to the town.
Is there already a stakeholder
No.
committee?
No.
So-
Why is it a subcommittee?
So the beginning of this was the stormwater bylaw that was proposed for town meeting, to maintain the town's compliance with its
Right.
MS4 permit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it wasn't really all that badly written. It is based on a template that many other communities in Massachusetts have adopted to maintain that compliance. However, the legislative process was abbreviated, right? So it went from draft to final to warrant very quickly, on the basis, I think, of people were relying upon the idea that, well, others have passed it, so we probably should. But the Finance Committee in particular, there was members there. I think there were members on planning and conservation. Conservation kind of, first they approved it, then they kind of went against it. There were some specific provisions in the proposed bylaw that were offensive to folks, and it might have had a better chance of passing had those not been included. So when we got to town meeting, the article was passed over. However, we are being contacted by both federal and state government officials who monitor this thing, asking, where are you with this? So we got to take another shot at it.
Okay.
And I think what needs to be explained to folks in an open meeting that's going to be videotaped and can be replayed for those people who really care about this issue, explaining those things that are mandatory under the EPA's regulations and those things which are not. So one of the things that people were really offended by was the right of entry of an inspector into an area that may require a stormwater permit. And, you know, that sounds like a warrantless search of someone's property. And, you know, fundamentally, it is. It would have authorized that. That is not required. That is not something that the federal government or state government requires anyone to do. They default to our normal process, which would be, if you're clearly offending, like in plain view, you have a 55-gallon drum of DDT and you're dumping it into the Mumford River, we don't need a warrant. Okay? But if you're cutting wood on your 17, 18-acre lot, you know, just because you hear a chainsaw doesn't mean, as a town inspector, you can run over there and see what somebody's doing. That's not what that's about. So clearly, that needs to be improved or just removed entirely. We would have the same administrative warrant requirement that we have now. But when it comes to like, what is the limitation of the area that can be cleared, for instance, that's actually federal regulations. 1 acre, that 1 acre limit was set. I agree with the observation that it probably doesn't make sense. You can do more damage on a 10,000 square foot lot, cutting all the trees down and paving it all over, than you ever would by cutting some trees down on an 18 acre lot. But clearly, there are always going to be things, regulations can't be drafted for every single imaginable set of circumstances. Most MS4 permits are issued for very specific, heavily urbanized areas. But the way that Massachusetts adopted this thing, it's really by town, so it would apply within the full boundaries of the town of Douglas, not just East Douglas. That's why I think some of this gets complicated. But having a process where people air their concerns, being able to send staff to do research and get expert opinions will help us understand what it is we can and cannot draft. So the next time we take a crack at this, we'll have a better chance of getting through the process.
So we're really appointing the creating the stormwater stakeholder committee, right? Okay, it's not a subcommittee, right? It's the full committee?
Well,
It's like a subcommittee of the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The stakeholder.
Yeah. That was the easiest path to get to where we needed to be. And I raised the question earlier, and the reason why I raised it is how do we appoint somebody to a committee that didn't exist? So the easiest path was to create a subcommittee of us, right?
Okay.
And then over the next few weeks, as Matt was discussing, some of the other stuff that's going to come up is there'll be a charge, what the committee's going to do, and some sort of expected duration, so this doesn't go on for the next 40 years. And just like the administrator explained, to answer a lot of the unknown questions. And that's why we chose to pass over it at the fall town meeting, because it was too rushed and too many uncertainties. People, it's just a reaction to it, right? So this way here, we get all concerned parties in it. Matt has coined the phrase stakeholder committee. So anybody that has real interest in it can voice their concerns and try to hash out the details. So with that,
I'll move that we appoint Les Stevens as the selectman's representative.
but before we get into that, did we go through the vote yet for the subcommittee?
Need to form-
So I'll make the motion to form the subcommittee.
Thought we did that. but-
No, did we?
Didn't roll call.
Huh?
You didn't roll call.
Yeah, we didn't get to that point.
Yeah.
Ross made the motion, Hal seconded.
Right, and we just need a roll call now.
Correct.
Okay.
Smith, aye.
Davis, aye?
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to designate a member of the Board of Selectmen to the subcommittee for the stormwater stakeholders.
So I nominate Les Stevens to be the selectman's representative on the stormwater stakeholder committee, subcommittee.
I'll second.
Anybody else have any interest?
I was going to say, is it just one member, or can it be?
I believe it's only one. Well,
I
why
would
don't
say
we
you
start
could-
off with that and see
Yeah.
what kind of interest we have in it yet before,
Let it develop a little bit.
rather have it spread out around?
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
to get some interest in it. No other questions? We're going to take a vote on that, so roll call.
Smith, aye.
Davis, aye?
Stevens, aye.
You can vote for yourself.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye.
The only thing I would say to that, Ross, if you were interested, I mean, under open meetings law, we can have 2 members without
Yeah.
you running afoul of anything. So if you were interested in being a part of it, I would appoint you today as well.
Okay. I think I would like to see what it's going to develop, because I'm on master
Okay.
plan committee, and
Well, we'll add you later, I think, vote if you want.
Yeah, we can
I
always,
just want to
we
make
can
sure I
always
get,
add.
if I do, I've got the time to do it, that's
Yeah.
all.
Well, yeah. Find out when the meetings are, so there's no
Right.
conflicts, and we'll get in there.
So I think we'll,
Yeah. Everybody's so used to being hemmed in by rules. The subcommittee, there really aren't any. You can
Yeah.
As long as you don't have 3, because then that becomes really the
You can be
board.
dictator for a day, is that what-
Well, no, but they serve at will, right? So if you figure that they're grinding to a halt or they're not getting anything done, you can dissolve them. You can change their charge at any time. You can switch out a member at any time. It's a little bit
Okay.
more free.
Yeah. Okay, next thing we have is the electric vehicle charging rate and policy. Nothing's been changed the first 2 meetings. Does anybody have any changes that they're going to propose on this one?
No, I kind of like
I think it's good.
what he's got written down there.
Seeing as none, I would entertain a motion to approve the policy rate as written.
I'll make a motion to approve the EV charging rate policy as written.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none,
Charge your way, baby.
roll call vote, please.
Smith, aye.
Davis, aye?
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. Tim, what do we want to do? You want to talk about that tonight, or you want to pass over it until when you're in person on the goals for the Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, no, I think, business travel last week and an unexpected bout with COVID this week. Really what I want to do is just have a frank discussion with the members I think a big part of my goal as chairman is to make certain that all the selectmen, anyone serving on that board, feels like they've got the support to go out and carry forward with the things that they want. And I think that's probably a discussion best had in person. So we could have had that today. Still, this is through a monkey wrench in that, but we've got Matt's goals and we can build off of that at a future date.
All right, so you want to put it on for the 16th, or you want to just table it? Huh?
Are we meeting on the 9th?
The 9th's going to be just a quick thing.
Okay.
We're just going to be in and out. We're trying to keep that to one item if we can.
16th will be like a normal.
Yeah, we'll take a peek at it. The 16th.
So between now and the 16th, Tim, you can decide if you want to put it on.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Next thing up is the town administrator's report.
So thank you to the board for approving the policy on the chargers. All 4 of them work very well. People have been using them. Yeah, no, it's kind of a small miracle. It is a different user interface than the prior ones. So for those folks in town who have been using them, may not have tried them yet, there's 3 things you need to do. You walk up to the thing, you tap your phone or your credit card on it, and it basically, the unit will say, I see you. I see that you're there. And you will acknowledge that you're there. And then it's going to, when I set the policy, so I can go into the software and I will set the rates for the different things according to the policy you have passed. That policy will come up on the screen, and then the next time you tap your card, it means you're accepting the charges as written. And only then will it turn the charger on. The charger is actually locked in place. So the first time I used the ChargePoint charger, I almost pulled it off the wall at Westport Town Hall because I couldn't understand why it was stuck. Right? I'm shaking the whole thing. Don't do that. After you accept
Have a sign, no.
after you accept the
Just
cost,
came out.
it will release. It makes an audible sound, a loud clicking sound. Then you can plug in. The thing you have to remember is you can simply disengage the plug. It's probably not the best thing for your car or for the charger. So you go back into the software, you go into your session, and you click the thing that says stop charging. You'll hear another click. The charger just turned off. Then you can disengage and put it back in. So it's different than the other one. It's on the cell network, not Wi-Fi, so the response times for the software are a little bit laggy. So don't get impatient like I did this morning and basically tap the thing 5 times, because then it gets very confused. Just take your time.
What's the average cost for somebody if they're fairly low per session? It varies.
Yeah, if you figure you want to add like 100 miles, it's
Yeah.
going to be about 5 hours.
Okay.
So however many kilowatt hours are
All right.
delivered then, but
I just couldn't double.
it's dribs and drabs. The thing that is fixed under the policy you just approved, whether you're a Douglas resident or not, when you plug in and you accept the charge, it's $1, period. So even if you only stay there 5 minutes,
So-
because a tornado's coming, you're still paying the $1, because that was a convenience fee that will help support the stations. So that's part of This report, I have worked this week on the video that's already been discussed, and are making arrangements for that. Additional work on the school security CCTV system. We've asked the school committee their opinion. They would like to hear from the chief of police on what options he feels are best to go with, and we'll seek the remainder of the funding in the fall. I think I've already kind of gone through all of this, but that meeting did occur. Then last thing on here is this a follow-up conversation with a possible vote on the surplus request from the Massachusetts Strategic Health Group. When the request was brought to the board for a vote, there was some discussion. They wanted to make sure they had the authority to simply cut us a check for $1 million. So they wanted to check with council. Now, the problem with checking with council was that it put us past July 1. So my objective was to get the check in before July 1, and I was, admittedly bumping up against that deadline, even though I think I warned them several times that it was coming. They didn't actually have a formal written request until June. So it won't close to free cash this year. The best way to handle it, therefore, to free up cash is to, after consultation with Rich Bowen, we're going to revise our request for a rate holiday. So we'll take the $1 million, we'll divide by 12, and every month our payment will be short or less than the billed amount by $83,333. The last one will be $83,337 to get to $1 million. And because we've already budgeted this, these are operating funds that won't be spent. But we will have a policy before this board to determine where that money will go.
But it will be $1 million.
Yeah. I'm not going to change that part of the request. I don't really care what the financial issues are with the board. That built up over 5 years. So we are the longest, one of the founding members, and I am the longest serving member of the board, with the other two having left. So if you split $1 million up over 5 years, really, we accrued this at a rate of about $200,000 a year. And how did that happen? Well, because we just maintained the balance we said we would maintain in the joint purchase agreement, 8 to 12% in excess of what we needed to cover our claims. So every year we built that in. It's about $200,000, and it just, after 5 years, it came up to $1 million. When you think about it that way, you realize this is more like a savings plan. This isn't, wow, we got $1 million last year because we were low on claims, let's go grab that money. No, this is something that's built up over time as we have matured as a member and we understand our data better. I still intend to request that the board and the finance committee and town meeting put a good deal of this money into the OPEB account,
It's the OPEB account, which is the post-employee.
OPEB is other post-employment benefits. I knew you would help me. Other post-employment benefits, which is basically our savings account to pay for retiree benefits in years in the future when it may be too big of an expense to have in the operating budget. It's basically a stabilization. And Cheryl Vadia, our treasurer, under the way the town has created that account, has the authority, on her own authority, without any input from the board or from me, to invest that prudently to get a return on it. So that's where I'm going to go with it. I do, though, because this is your decision as the governing board, the governing board is officially the member of MSHG, to revise your request to be the rate holiday. I've drafted a 2-sentence letter to that effect that I will present to the board immediately tomorrow. We don't meet again until July 18th, but the sooner it gets to them, the more time they have to cogitate.
So you're looking for a vote for us to authorize you to sign that?
No, I'm looking for you to vote it and sign it yourself.
Oh, sign it
Go
ourselves,
back,
okay.
yeah.
Was it some reluctance on their part to give us a check for $1 million, I think?
Oh, we're meeting the 16th, right, the 16th, yeah.
Was there some reluctance on their board's part to write the check for $1 million?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We have so many new people that have only been on the board for a year. They don't remember. When we took out our equity buy-in,
They don't
it was
remember
like,
the rules of the way it really
it just
operates.
went zip zam, and it was 270 grand when Douglas took its money back for that. And that went back to our free cash, because that's where we took it from. I also think, like I said in the previous meeting, we've had a significant drawdown of our reserves as a group that is driven in large extent by claims that have hit stop loss that are very, very large. So this is becoming quite a thing in the health insurance world. A claim for $2 million, another claim from another town for $3.5 million. It takes stop loss a while to process that claim and to vet it out, make sure they're not overpaying. It can be at least 60 days, but sometimes more than that. But we pay within 30. So the providers that provided that care are paid by the group, and then we wait for reimbursement from stop loss. The longer, the more big claims we have, and the longer we wait for those claims to be resolved, that's our float. So that's what's happened to us. We have these really huge claims. Our float is normally 7, 8, 9 million, and it dropped to below zero for a brief period on June 17th, because there's that much stop loss that's lagging. There is also a structural deficit with a couple of our biggest groups. We still have to resolve that as a board. We're going to have to deal with it. And as I said in the last meeting, I think there's a mid-year rate adjustment that is going to be called for. I just don't think there's any way around it. But predicting health insurance claims is worse than predicting the weather in New England. Don't do it. We just don't know. We could have a fabulous year, and all of this will just go away. That's also possible.
Just a question through the chair. For the HG surplus, you mentioned in previous meetings about kind of outlining a few options for the board to kind of look at, and when do you plan on like kind of at least summarizing some like an outline or your thoughts? If there's like, option A, option B, option C of, just an outline, so.
So I don't want to make the meeting longer than it needs to be, but you've been asking me the question. I think the most prudent course of action is to have this conversation in January. We have 3 new groups joining. One of them actually is an actuarial problem, and the other 2 are not, so it might balance out. But in 6 months' time, we'll have a pretty good sense of whether the new rates, because many of the groups took increases. They did take increases. It's just not as big as they should have. But whether or not the new rates plus the actual claims experience are starting to meet up, or if they're still being exceeded. And at that point, I think we'll have some really significant decisions to make. I'm hoping that nothing really happens and that we're able to hold this thing together. If I feel like we're not, though, I won't hesitate. I mean, this agreement was written in a way to allow people to exit if they felt they needed to exit. The way that works is you would have to leave behind enough funds to cover the run out of claims, and there would be a reconciliation after a year of what was paid out on your behalf and what you might still have by way of balance. I really don't want to go there. This is a great concept. I think some of the groups that came into us a year and a half or 2 years ago were not properly rated by the underwriter that was working for us at the time. And that's bad, because they are bigger groups than the rest of us were, and that's why we're in the situation we're in. If they take corrective action and they get back on track, we're still going to be in a great thing that's helped us build this balance. So.
Do you need us to approve the letter and approve the signing, or just approve the signing of it?
You're going to sign it.
Correct.
So if you just approve the request, I think
Okay.
you're all set.
So looking for a motion to approve the signing of the amended request for the return of the surplus from MSHG.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, roll call vote, please.
Smith, aye?
Davis, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye. Is there any topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting? Seeing as none, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session for the interest in real property at Rydell Road.
I would make a motion to enter into executive session for discussion of interest in real property on Rydell Road, to reconvene into open session for the sole purpose of adjournment.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, roll call vote, please.
Smith, aye?
Davis, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Bone and I.
Fitzpatrick, aye.